What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. This week's episode, WWE matches with controversial endings. Yes, so obviously when it comes to the WWE, there's going to be a lot of matches with a lot of controversy. When you think about that, the term controversy, there's actually meaning behind it. And the meaning is actually, give me 1 second, guys. Hang on. Alright, here we are. So, the name controversy, the word controversy means a dispute, meaning it's being disputed, basically. A discussion marked especially by the expression of opposing views. And what it means is that in WWE there's always going to be a lot of disputes as to who really won the match. Let's actually look at some of those. Matches right here. So I'm actually on WWE.com right now, and there's actually like a playlist of sorts of matches that actually have ended in controversy, and there's actually a couple of them. And this one in particular, it's pretty controversial. Batista winning the Royal Rumble in 2005. The match ends with both John Cena and Batista, two of the brightest stars in WWE, two of the brightest stars in the company, and excuse me, they had won multiple championships of the same title. Obviously, John Cena had won the United States Championship like 4 times, I think it was. Like three times, 4 times, or something like that. Batista ended up becoming, or I guess now we call it Raw Tag Team Champions, a couple times alongside Ric Flair. And the Royal Rumble match ended with John Cena and Batista eliminating each other from the match. Now, the last time that happened, it was Lex Luger and Bret Hart that ended up becoming the co-winners, as announced by WWE President Jack Tunney at the time. And this one, they did not do that again. They did not want lightning to strike twice, as Vince McMahon came out and said this match was going to be restarted, and Batista ended up winning. Now the big question is, should Batista have won the match? That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen, but that's like the biggest question of all, is whether or not Batista should have won that match. And honestly, I don't think so. I think John Cena should have won that one, simply because of the fact that John Cena was brought into the WWE because of his skills. Batista came into the WWE because of Reverend Devon. Actually, if you guys don't know who Reverend Devon was, Devon Dudley had the character of a reverend when he got drafted to SmackDown in 2002, which it was an interesting one. And Batista was known as Deacon Batista, and that's how he got into the WWE, was from that. So it remains to be seen as to whether or not Batista should have won that one or not. But in my honest opinion, I think John Cena should have won that matchup. But there is another match that also comes into mind, and it's actually the match between Goldberg and the Fiend. Yes, Goldberg and the Fiend from Super Showdown last year. And if you guys did not watch that one, I know that I said on Twitter when that match concluded that Goldberg deserved that victory. I was literally over exaggerating. I was over exaggerating, and I realized that was a foregone conclusion. You know, everybody thought that the Fiend was going to win, but it ended up being Goldberg. And the way it ended had a lot of people scratching their heads like, what the fuck is going on? Another one that comes into mind, and it's one that pretty much everybody knows, or probably doesn't know. It's what's known as the Wendy Richter Screwjob. So, on November 25th, 1985, if you guys remember March 31st that year, Wendy Richter had defeated Leilani Kai to win the WWE Women's Championship. And that was in the first ever WrestleMania. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Fast forward 8 months later, and she gets a brand new challenger. Wendy Richter is being challenged by a woman known as the Spider Lady, and the Spider Lady pins Wendy Richter, but it ends in controversy as we found out that when Wendy Richter had kicked out at 2, and the referee did not notice it. Who was the Spider Lady? Who was the Spider Lady? None other than WWE Hall of Famer, the late great, the fabulous Moolah. Yes, Moolah ended up portraying herself as the Spider Lady, and that was about the worst of it. Obviously, too, I believe if the history books serve me right, Wendy Richter ended up regaining the title I think a few months later or something like that. And I know that if I remember correctly, I believe the women's championship was gone in like 89 or something like that, somewhere around there. And then in 93, the women's championship ended up resurrecting with Alundra Blaze winning the championship. So, so a lot of these matches you can actually see on the WWE Network, and you can also see them on Peacock as well. It's kind of interesting. Honestly, the Batista matchup, I saw that. Wendy Richter and the Spider Lady, I've seen clips of it on YouTube. So much controversy. Another one that comes into mind is one that a lot of people actually forgot about, and it's the matchup between AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose at a pay-per-view called Backlash, and this was actually in 2016, I believe. Yeah. In 2016, Here's the thing. Roman Reigns, here's how the whole year started for AJ Styles. He debuts in the Royal Rumble match to determine who would become WWE champion. Triple H ends up winning the match and enters the match. He enters the match at number 30, wins the whole thing. AJ Styles entered the match at number 3. Roman Reigns got eliminated by Triple H. Triple H wins it. Then at a pay-per-view called Roadblock, Dean Ambrose, Triple H, match ends with Triple H winning. Fastlane 2016 Triple Threat: Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose ends up helping Roman Reigns win the matchup, and he goes on to WrestleMania, challenges Triple H for the WWE title, and he ends up regaining the title. AJ Styles is now back into the WWE Championship picture at a pay-per-view called pay-per-views called Payback and Extreme Rules. If I remember that correctly. Yes, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles for the WWE title, and then at Extreme Rules. Then, at a pay-per-view called Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins made his triumphant return and defeats Roman Reigns for said championship, only for Dean Ambrose to cash in Money in the Bank and becomes WWE champion. Then, at a pay-per-view called Battleground, a match we did not think we would ever get. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, triple threat match for the WWE Championship. A very interesting matchup because Dean Ambrose ended up getting drafted to SmackDown. Rollins and Reigns ended up getting drafted to Raw during the 2016 draft. Ambrose ends up retaining the title. SummerSlam, AJ Styles beats John Cena. Dean Ambrose beats Dolph Ziggler to retain his title. Then comes Backlash. AJ Styles gets put back into the WWE Championship picture and defeats Dean Ambrose using a low blow. The referee's view was completely obstructed. Low blow. Styles clash to Ambrose. 1, 2, 3. That was it. That was it. That was it. AJ Styles ended up holding on to the championship all the way up until a pay-per-view note that we love, the Royal Rumble, where he loses the title to John Cena, and yeah. Here's the thing: when it comes to that matchup, AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose, I saw that pay-per-view. There was so much controversy. Everybody kept saying that maybe Ambrose should have retained the title because he was only WWE champion for only a few months. And do I believe in that? Absolutely. I believe Dean Ambrose should have won that one, but at the same time, this is AJ Styles we're talking about here, you know? AJ Styles will do anything to win a match, even a low blow. That was a very controversial way to end a WWE Championship match. Obviously, too, when it comes to the WWE Championship, or any championship for that matter, there's always going to be controversy. But the last one, another one that I do want to mention, is actually a matchup that was actually posted on YouTube yesterday, and it was the full matchup. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver Rival. The funny thing is that at NXT TakeOver Arrival, Kevin Owens made his debut and attacked Sami Zayn. TakeOver Rival, The rivalry will never end. Literally, the rivalry between those two will never end. Whether they're friends or foe, it don't matter. Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn down so badly, he literally, like, Sami Zayn had no idea where the hell he was, and Kevin Owens hit Sami Zayn with, like, what, 5, 6, 7 power bombs, and the WWE medical staff told the referee, stop it, it's done, he's done, and they made Kevin Owens NXT champion. The funny thing is that Kevin Owens actually gloated NXT General Manager William Regal into making that match happen. Now the big question is, should that match have ever took place? That remains to be seen. You guys can comment below if you guys think that match should have took place. And yeah, those things can happen a lot. And then the last one that I do want to bring up, probably the most obvious is, or actually there's two of them. The Montreal Screwjob and the infamous Philadelphia Screwjob. The Montreal Screwjob, we all know what it is. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And then the Philadelphia Screwjob. You're probably wondering, you guys are probably wondering, wait a minute, Nash, what do you mean by that? There was a show that that WWE had brought back as a weekly show called ECW. Rob Van Dam goes to his turf, a pay-per-view called One Night Stand, which turns into what we now know as Extreme Rules. John Cena defended the WWE Championship against Rob Van Dam when RVD cashed in Money in the Bank. He said he was going to cash in his briefcase at One Night Stand. Rob Van Dam, with the help of Edge from out of nowhere spears John Cena. The referee, the SmackDown referee Nick Patrick was completely immobile. Paul Heyman comes in, tells RVD to pin him. 1, 2, 3. That was it. Now the ECW title is back. And you're probably wondering what happens next. Well, Paul Heyman promised the Big Show that if he were to defect to ECW, that he would get first crack at the ECW Championship. Paul Heyman became a man of his word, and he ends up screwing RVD out of the ECW title. Thus, Big Show wins the title and holds on to it from that night all the way up until a pay-per-view called December to Dismember, which was the only pay-per-view ECW had before it, I guess, collaborated with WWE, so to speak. And if you guys remember, I think I did in one of my earlier episodes, I had mentioned about that pay-per-view and the matches that were on the card, and I'll even show you guys. I'll even show you guys really quickly. I actually want to... Let's take a look. Let's actually take a look, because the matchups, it was the only pay-per-view for ECW, and that was it. It was done. It was done. And the only match that was like announced, if you will, was the was the Extreme Elimination Chamber match, and here was the reception. And yes, unfortunately, this is off of Wikipedia, but I just want to show you guys what the reception was. So it says here, less than 24 hours after the pay-per-view, WWE announced on their official website that Vince McMahon had sent Heyman home, citing, quote, slumping television ratings and a disgruntled talent roster as causes for Mr. Heyman's dismissal. Heyman was escorted from the Coliseum and sent home. He was also immediately pulled from ECW's creative team after the altercation. McMahon was attempting to put the blame on Heyman for the poorly received pay-per-view, and after a meeting with Vince and Stephanie McMahon, Heyman legitimately left WWE, but remained under contract. Heyman was against the decision of Lashley being booked to win the ECW World Heavyweight title, and instead wanted to have CM Punk win it, a decision McMahon disliked. The situation was cited by Punk in his controversial worked shoot promo in 2011, which he referred to the idea as one in which Heyman saw something in Punk that nobody else wanted to admit. Yeah, if you guys did not watch it, I believe you can watch it on YouTube. You can also watch it on the WWE Network. It was one hell of a pipe bomb. Upset at how the event turned out, Tommy Dreamer and Steve Richards both asked after the event to be released from their contracts. Both requests were refused by McMahon and WWE's Vice President of Talent Relations, John Laurinaitis. Yeah, Laurinaitis was working with WWE all the way back then. Critics had a negative reaction to the pay-per-view, which the only match that they received praise being the Hardy Boys versus Eminem tag team match. Slam Sports rated the pay-per-view 4 out of 10 stars, stating 2 matches that were promoted saved this thing from being a debacle. In the 2006 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, the event was voted worst major wrestling show of the year. December to Dismember, also considered to be one of the worst pay-per-views WWE ever produced. So the card was as follows: Stevie Richards versus Rene Dupree, which actually did not, which that was the first. That was the first matchup. That was the first match. The second one was obviously the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy against Eminem, which was Joey Mercury, Johnny Nitro, or I guess now John Morrison with Melina. Then of course, then we had Balls Mahoney versus Matt Striker in a Strikers Rules match. We had Elijah Burke and Sylvester Terkay versus the FBI, the full-blooded Italians, Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke with Trinity. We had Daivari with the Great Khali versus Tommy Dreamer. Ariel and Kevin Thorne versus Kelly and Mike Knox. And then, of course, the ECW Championship match. And the order of the entry for that match was Hardcore Holly, Rob Van Dam, CM Punk, Test, Bobby Lashley, Big Show. And each pod had their own weapon. So obviously in Lashley's pod had a table. Big Show's pod had a barbed wire baseball bat. Test's pod had a crowbar, and CM Punk's pod had a steel chair. And of course, Holly and Van Dam, they started the matchup. CM Punk ended up being the first one to be eliminated, and he was eliminated by Rob Van Dam, and Punk lasted 12 minutes 35 seconds. And then, of course, Hardcore Holly was eliminated by Test, 12:45. RVD was eliminated by Test, 14:15. Test was eliminated by Bobby Lashley and the Big Show. Test lasted 19 minutes and 42 seconds, and of course Big Show lasted the whole matchup, which was only 25 minutes. So that was yeah, again, many people believe CM Punk should have won that one, but should he? Should he have won it? Absolutely. I feel like yes, but at the same time, it's Bobby Lashley, so I'm not going to say anything more about it. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Oh, and also to the did I mention the Montreal Screwjob? Yeah, I already mentioned it. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Question of the day: what is, in your opinion, the most controversial match in WWE history? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, which gets posted every Monday, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.